Today, we're going to be working with the equation v final equals v initial plus at. For our purposes, we're going to be referring to this as the first kinematic equation. So what is our equation? Let's break it down variable by variable. We have that Vf is the final velocity, V naught or V0 is the initial velocity, A is acceleration, and that gets multiplied by t time. So if we're going to read out what this means, it's the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus acceleration times time. When are we going to be using this equation? Well, we want to use this anytime we're given 3 of the variables and we want to solve for the 4th one. So for example, we can be given the final velocity, we can be given the initial velocity, the acceleration, and we want to solve for time. This could also happen that we're given the time, the acceleration, and the initial velocity, and we want to solve for the final velocity. Any combination of this works as long as there's only one single variable to solve for with this equation. Let's review how we can actually solve for each individual equation using algebra. We're going to start with the easiest one. Let's solve for v final. Our equation, as you remember, is v final equals v initial plus acceleration times time. There we have it. If we are able to plug in v initial, acceleration, and time, we are solving for v final. Next up, let's solve for v initial. So we start off with v final equals v initial plus at, and we want to subtract everything away that isn't v initial. So we get v final minus at equals v initial, and there we have it. V initial equals v final minus at. If we're given the final velocity, acceleration, and time, we can easily solve for v initial this way. How do we solve for the acceleration? Let's start with our initial equation, as usual. We're going to subtract away v initial, and now we need to divide both sides by time. And there we have it. Flipping the equation, we have acceleration equals v final minus v initial over time. Last but not least, we want to solve for time. We start with our initial equation. Now we want to subtract v initial from both sides, and we're going to divide both sides by the acceleration to isolate our time. And this is how we solve for each individual variable of our 4 variables. We can solve for final velocity, initial velocity, acceleration, and time by doing this algebra. Let's talk about what we just reviewed really fast. Here's a quick summary. We have final velocity equals initial velocity plus acceleration times time. To summarize, to solve for each variable individually, we start with v final equals v initial plus at. We also have v initial equals v final minus at. Acceleration equals v final minus v initial over time, and time equals v final minus v initial over acceleration.